I was walking the last time.
Okay, we good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right, good morning, Mrs. Hoover. I wanted to thank you for sitting down with me and taking the time to reflect on your lesson from Wednesday. I just want this to be an opportunity for you to have a discussion with another educator about your lesson. So I just want to ask you a couple questions and then we'll have a discussion.
Okay.
So I know you taught this lesson 2 days ago, but what do you most vividly remember from the lesson?
The lesson was, they were using iMovie to do, we're doing a multiple intelligence unit, and so they were using iMovie to record, or to use the recording, and kind of learn a little bit about iMovie. I'm trying to always give them new ways to present material that's maybe a little more untraditional or not as traditional ways to do that, and being able to kind of know how to use it is one way to do that. So that's kind of what we were doing, and I guess one of the things that I found the most beneficial, or one of the best things about it, was the kids were very engaged.
Oh, I agree. That's one thing that I wrote down. That 100% of the students
Yeah.
are engaged,
Yeah.
and they're working on their projects. They were all on the computers,
Mhm.
and as I was walking around and looking around,
Mhm.
every single kid was on the right screen. And I know that sometimes
Mhm.
last year when I taught in a one-to-one school, that you'd walk around and sometimes they're not on the right screen.
Right.
They were really engaged in the
Focused.
task
Mhm.
that you wanted them to be
Mhm.
doing. And I think that that's typical of your classroom. I just was in here last period, and the kids were working on their different projects all around the room, and they were all engaged in what they were supposed
Controlled chaos. I
Yes,
like to
but
call
it was good. It was great. I wanted to identify some specific academic feedback because we've been talking
Mhm.
about that in
Mhm.
cluster, and I think that's another thing that you actually do well that you were not thinking. You think that you don't give positive feedback,
Right.
but the feedback that you give is very specific. Like
Mhm.
Riley was sitting in the front of the room,
Mhm.
and you kept going back to him
Mhm.
and giving him very specific feedback. It says, now, where is your picture that you want? And you had to tell him step by step what he needed to do, and then you just kept checking on him. And you
Mhm.
gave him specific feedback, and you were just not that you're running around the room,
Right,
but you had
right.
a lot of kids in that
Mhm.
amount of time. But I wanted you to know that because you are doing that,
Mhm.
and I know that you're questioning
Right,
yourself
right.
in cluster the other day.
Mhm.
So, what was one thing that made you feel as though you weren't as effective as you wanted to be?
Not as effective. I think maybe there was one student in particular who was done very quickly, didn't want to go any farther. And I was hoping that they would be engaged enough to want to, kind of want to find some other avenues that, other things about iMovie that they weren't familiar with, because I gave them a very short list of things that they were required to do, and then I hoped that once they got past those few requirements that they would just kind of look around at the program and find new things, which some of them did, how to change the voice, how to adjust the video part of it. He was just kind of done.
So what do you think that you could do to make him,
More.
yeah, like differentiate for him, I guess I would say?
That's a good question. Trying to find some way to connect to him would be important. And
I have a question.
Okay.
When he was, if you look at what he has in his iMovie, does he have other things that other students in the room, does he have more than other people, or there's things that other people have on theirs that he could go see?
And I haven't had a chance to even look at them yet, but it wasn't the one
Yeah.
that was sitting up there, but I haven't seen, I think he did just the bare minimum.
But I was just thinking maybe having them walk around seeing what other people had
Oh,
done.
I see what you mean, yeah.
And then maybe
To
he
get
could
an
get another
idea.
idea.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Or having like a list of things that,
Right, and maybe what I should have done differently would be to say, okay, you're done with that part, now see if you can figure out how to do the, change the voice.
Yeah.
Or how can you change the visual part of the video, those kinds of things, giving him some suggestions, so that would be a good way to have changed that.
and I just think that you need to focus too on the things that you've done well too. And I think that sometimes as teachers we focus on, oh, I could have done that differently.
Yeah.
But I really want to say again that your feedback was very strong. I couldn't have typed as fast as you were saying them. And then the engagement was strong too. So, but just thinking about that differentiation, you do differentiate. But thinking about that one kid, I appreciate that you're thinking about that one kid. You know, when I was teaching, that's one thing that I've always tried to keep in mind is, okay, how do I reach them all? It doesn't matter that there was just one kid out of the 20-some kids you had in here. I want to reach them all. So I wanted to say thank you again for sitting down with me, because you kind of didn't have a choice on the, well, you did have a choice, but you were very nice to help me out, and I can't wait to come and observe in your classroom again.
Okay, great, thanks.